In our first module on the subject of sustainability, we looked at some alternative renewable energy sources. At present in Bermuda, Belco generates all of our electricity, and the reliance is on fossil fuels, about 4,500 barrels of oil every day. Any effort we make to replace the use of fossil fuels with alternative energies means much less demand for this imported oil. So in this module, we looked at some very simple as well as more cutting-edge methods of reducing the demand of electricity from Belco. Things like the use of the sun's rays to heat water, to maybe cook some food, and then also cutting-edge things such as photovoltaic cells and even using biodiesel instead of regular diesel. Now, cooking food and boiling water isn't necessarily a problem here in Bermuda, but in a lot of developing countries there isn't the electricity or even fuel to perform these daily tasks. Several years back, a charity named Forum for the Future hosted an online challenge to create a solar oven. The winner of the climate change challenge was called the Kyoto Box, and we were inspired to try and build one.
We are hoping to harness the thermal energy from the sun to create kind of an oven with two boxes that we made. The smaller one, we put black paper on the bottom and coated the outside and the inside with tin foil. And we put that in the larger one and covered the flaps on the sides also with tin foil. And then we put the newspaper around in between the small and the larger box, and we put the cookies on the bottom of the black paper. So the black paper is going to absorb the light and the tin foil is going to reflect it and create like an oven.
Considering it's nothing more than a few cardboard boxes and some tin foil, the temperature inside a Kyoto box can reach 165 degrees centigrade on a sunny day. That's enough now to boil water, to pasteurize milk, and it even makes some pretty good cookies. To see how far we could push the idea of a completely free source of energy, we decided to make a solar heater out of things we salvaged from the dump. We went down to the airport dump and took the back off an old fridge. We pumped all the coolant out, made sure it was very clean, and attached it up to a cold water source. Then we let the sun do its work.
Okay, we got fresh water from here, and then we connected it to this, the back of a fridge, so that it goes through and then creates warm water.
And it's black, so it's absorbing the radiant energy and it's converting it into thermal energy. The water when we first started was 26 degrees and it is now 34. So
it's already getting warmer, and it could probably get a lot warmer than this if we leave it out.
We set it at a 32-degree angle heading towards the sun, so it would absorb more sunlight and create thermal heat.
The average Bermudian household spends up to $400 a month on electricity. Now, most folks say that about 25%, quarter of that bill, goes to heating water. So if you think of it, if we use the sun's rays instead to heat the water, you'd be saving up to $100 a month off your bill. So what do you do if you want to boil water or bake your cookies at night or when the sun's not shining? Well, you could use a technology called photovoltaic. We commonly call this solar panels or solar cells. Basically, the sun's energy is converted into electricity in these cells. And then that power can be used to run an oven, to light a light bulb, or you can store it for later in a battery.
Photovoltaic is technology that converts radiant light energy into electric energy through the process of transference. Solar panels are made up of silicon, which is an element that has 14 electrons, and so it's 3 shells, and which leaves the third most outer shell with only 4 electrons, so it has 4 available spaces. So it makes it easier to bond with other electrons to create energy.
The way the silicon creates energy is when the sun's rays hits the panel, one of the 4 electrons in the outer shell breaks free from its place. The electrons behind that electron want to complete the outer shell again, so they move up into the electron hole. It starts going from south to north or north to south way, and that creates an electron flow, and that basically is a circuit. You can hook up the battery to it, and the electrons will flow into the battery, charging it up.
Bermuda has all the required elements for solar panels. I mean, we're a subtropical island. I mean, we have enough sun. We're practically sunny all year round. Also, with oil prices constantly fluctuating and a limited supply of fossil fuels, this would be one of the best alternative supplies of energy. Energy has been in more demand for Bermuda for the past year or so. BELCO's trying to build more plants to provide more energy, but this is more of a sustainable way of creating energy. It will take most of the demand off if people start using something like this. You can attach it to your roof, so that takes pressure off of BELCO, pressure off you, because you're paying less money out of your bills. It's like kind of expensive now, but as more people catch on to it, maybe prices may drop. I'm not sure about that, but
Of course, you can use photovoltaic technology for a lot more than just heating water. In Bermuda, you can buy photovoltaic lights for your garden, you can buy photovoltaic run bikes, and even drive a car driven by solar power. Countries like Germany, Spain, Portugal, even the US now have dedicated solar power stations. These can generate up to 100 gigawatts per year. Now, by comparison, BELCO generates just over 700 gigawatts a year. So you can see that these power stations are very powerful, and this is infant technology. In coming years, they'll become more and more efficient. Biodiesel is the name given to a type of oil that we could use to replace the diesel used in so many marine engines and also in trucks and buses on roads in Bermuda today. Biodiesel is any kind of oil that comes from biological sources, such as the cooking oil that we use to cook our French fries, also from some fats that you might grow in plants such as algae in the ocean. By using these instead of the regular diesel that comes from crude oil in the ground, we can greatly reduce the demand for these kinds of oils and therefore reduce our carbon footprint.
Well, first of all, biodiesel is an alternative fuel that is less harmful than regular diesel. It's cheaper and it's biodegradable.
Well, this is our biodiesel producing station. In here we put waste oil from the cafeteria out of the deep fat fryer. We get a funnel, we just pour it in through a mesh so it separates all the bits of fried food that may still be in the oil. It filters through, and then the tank fills up with oil. When you want to make some biodiesel, you just turn the tap at the bottom, let the water out that's accumulated. Once the water is out, the fuel starts to come out. You collect the fuel and you mix it with sodium hydroxide and methanol or ethanol. And it's turned into biodiesel, which then you can use in any diesel engine.
So some of the pros of biodiesel in Bermuda is that it would reduce imports of diesel and it would reduce greenhouse emissions, so it will make our carbon footprint less. And the gases emitted by vehicles that are absorbed by plants which are used to make it, so that would be very beneficial to Bermuda. And then the negative effects, so the cons to Bermuda, we would have to have more imports of methanol and ethanol and sodium hydroxide, so that would put an effect on the prices. And also the odor. This is if waste vegetable oil is used, so the smell wouldn't be very pleasant. But if we find a system where we can make the oil as purified as possible to put in the engines, odor wouldn't have an effect at all.
Our reliance on fossil fuels has arguably led to global warming and the problem of ocean acidification. Anything that we can do here in Bermuda to reduce our personal footprint and our island's footprint will be beneficial. And we have to think small. What can we do in our own homes? Perhaps the key is sunlight, perhaps wind energy, or maybe biodiesel. Whatever we can do will make a big difference both here in Bermuda and around the world.